County Board of Commissioners to order on this Monday, September 18th, 2023. It is now 6 p.m. If you would be so kind as to stand with us to receive the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for allowing us to come here tonight, Lord, to do the business of this county, Lord. Thank you for allowing the citizens to be here, Lord, to voice their opinions and other matters that we have, Lord. Bless Lee County, bless Sanford, bless North Carolina, and this great United States of America, Lord. Lord, if you bestowed decisions upon us as commissioners, Lord, let us have clear thoughts and let those thoughts be of you, Father. We love, we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Had my agenda up here and the screen went blank. Okay. You have the agenda in front of you. We need to make a few changes to the agenda. First off, we're going to move new business, item 6A, to after comments regarding the county telephone system. And we're going to move that to right after public comments on page 2 of the agenda. We're going to be removing old business item 5E, Project Stronghold, and we are going to add a closed session to the agenda. Any other changes to the agenda? Seeing there are none, can I get a motion to approve the changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, sir. The motion's been made to approve the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing there are none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. You have the consent agenda. I do need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Motion's been made to approve the consent agenda as presented, and it is a very long one. That being said, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda are public hearings. Public hearing for the fiscal year 25 Lee County Community Transportation Program applications. And Debbie Davidson is coming forward.
Good evening. I am asking that a public hearing be held on the proposed fiscal year 25 5311 Capital and Mobility Manager grant funding. The amount of administrative funding, $250,742, with a local share of $37,612. The capital, which will be 4 replacement vehicles. Those 4 lift-equipped vehicles reached 100,000 miles as of 6/30/23, so that makes them eligible for replacement in 25. They keep running until then, we hope. And that cost for the FY25 is $522,692. And then Mobility Manager, $53,825. Local match for all 3 of these grant applications is $95,265.
Thank you. Do I have any questions of Debbie before we open the public hearing? Seeing there are no questions, I now open the public hearing for the fiscal year 25 Lee County Community Transportation Program application. Public hearing is now open. All those in favor, please come forward and express your favor. If you're opposed, please come forward and express your opposition. Anyone up for? Anyone opposed? Going once? Going twice? Public hearing is now closed. Thank you very much, Debbie.
Thank you.
Oh, mercy, if this goes this well. Next item on the agenda for public hearing is a multi-sports complex financing. Let's see, we have.
Good evening.
Good evening, Candace.
In accordance with Section 160A 20G of the North Carolina General Statutes, the county is required to hold a public hearing on the proposed trust or similar financing agreement to A, pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, and equipping a new multi-sport complex, and B, pay certain financing costs related thereto.
Is there any questions for Candace before I open the public hearing? Seeing there are none, I now open the public hearing on a limited obligation bond financing agreement in the principal amount not to exceed $17 million for the purpose of providing funds together with other available funds to pay for the costs of acquiring, constructing, and equipping a new multi-sports complex known as the project, and pay certain financing costs related to it. The Board of Commissioners voted to increase the original project budget from $25 million to $40 million on August 9th of 2022. So we have a bond. Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of approving this bond? If so, please come forward. Anyone opposed? I do have a statement here. I will read it. It is in opposition. Hello, Commissioners. I am unable to attend the September 18th county meeting, so I am submitting this email in lieu of speaking at the public hearing against Agenda Item 3B, the multi-sports complex financing. I hope everyone has had a wonderful weekend and enjoyed the fun at the county fair. In full disclosure, I voted for the original 2020 county referendum and continue to believe this type of project would be a great addition to our county and community. I am against this funding motion at this time. However, I understand there has been a ton of prep and design work done already, and many people are impatient for the project to finally proceed and break ground. I also fully expect this motion to be approved at the upcoming meeting, but feel the need to express a contrary position just to give you some things to consider. The economic conditions when the multi-sports complex was approved are totally different than the ones we face now. Inflation and interest rates are much, much higher now than in 2020. And I'm sure the recent property tax mailing has given our residents a little sticker shock for their own expenses. While none of us have the crystal ball to project the future interest rates, the consensus of the experts is that we are close to the top range forced on us by the Fed's fight against inflation. The split in most predictions is whether this current range of rates will be extended for another year or more, or if the economy will actually collapse and thus allow the Fed to drop the rates to stimulate borrowing and spending again in 2024. There is a common saying in the financial world, that is, don't fight the Fed. And right now the Fed is trying to reduce the flow of liquidity and spending slashing around our economy. This multi-sports complex was approved by voters 3 years ago and depends on the creation of more debt, which is exactly what the Fed is trying to fight, although obviously on a much smaller scale than the multi-trillion-dollar spending packages of our larger government entities. As an analogy, I would ask you all if now is the time you would borrow against your own home to remodel a bathroom or add a swimming pool, or would you wait a while until market conditions were more favorable? I would like to see this project deferred until interest rates drop and we actually need more infrastructure projects like this. In 2008, 2009, there was even a call for shovel-ready projects, which our 421 bypass project actually benefited from and has helped transform our community. I am sure the wheels are in motion on this project, too much though, and I can only imagine the politics and backlash of this project was deferred for another year or two. Thank you as always for your time and efforts to continue leading our county to a brighter future. David Smoke, 96 North Ridge Trail, Sanford. Anyone who wishes to speak on behalf of the funding of the sports complex? Yes, sir. Please come forward, state your name as well as your address.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Smith, 164 Fraley Road, Sanford. I'm come here to support the funding of this project. I'm a member of the North Carolina Youth Soccer Association and North Carolina Soccer Referees Association. And recent conversations with members of the Sanford Area Soccer League and the other members of the Youth Soccer Association and the Referees Association, there's a great need for this in Sanford. When you drive into Sanford, you see these signs that say well-centered, and that is something that the state associations are looking at for bringing state tournaments here. And the one thing that holds them back is we don't have facilities for those tournaments. Being we're centered in the middle of North Carolina, that would bring teams from Charlotte, teams from Wilmington, Raleigh, Greensboro, Asheville. I travel the state and I'd ref at different complexes, and this is something that this county needs. I've lived here for over 30 years, and there's never been anything for our young children to do. You have sports, you have baseball, you have basketball, you have football, you have soccer. Sanford Area Soccer League's been around for 40 years and has never had a facility for them to call home. They use the fairgrounds, they use Northview, they use the public high schools that currently are denying them use. And right now they're using Wesley Middle School, which is not a great field for competitive soccer. So I come today to stand in favor of funding for the sports complex. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And for full disclosure, that's my youngest son, and the family is a bunch of soccer fiends. Any other in support? Any opposed to the funding for the multi-sports complex? Seeing there are none, going once, going twice. The public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Thank you, Candace. Next item on the agenda is public comments. We do not have any public comments, so we are going to the next item, which is the item we moved from new business on the county telephone system. And Mr. Ricky Smith? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You're going to... Kyle.
Good evening, Chairman Smith, other members of the board. I'm going to introduce Nikki Smith, the CEO of Carolina Digital Phone, in just a few moments. After I go through the process we've gone through recently on the county's telephone system. So what we've seen over the past couple of years is just a pretty significant increase in complexity and cost with our existing phone system. We've reached a point where over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to have to replace a significant amount of telephones. And if we stay with the current system that we're on now, we're going to spend a lot more money than we really need to. So we started going out and looking at different alternatives, and the framework of that being a hosted PBX phone system. The maturity of these systems has gotten to where they're very solid, very functional, and would work really well for the county. So we sent out an RFP, received 14 responses, 12 of which were not really viable due to the prohibitive cost, so we did not score those 12. We did receive 2 that were viable, and we scored both of those over a number of categories: purchase price, lifespan cost, deployment approach, what kind of experience that particular company had with similar station and location size, their service and support, the manufacturer stability and future direction, general system complexity, and technical system functionality. And so Carolina Digital Phone out of Greensboro, North Carolina, was the clear best responsible bidder, and that is the recommendation I would make to you tonight, to accept them as such and authorize the county manager to sign any contracts that are associated once we get through those with our legal team, and also to approve the purchase orders related to that contract. And so now I would like to introduce Nikki Smith. He's just going to spend a few minutes with you going through their company and what he has to offer the county.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you very much for having me as your guest tonight, Commissioners. Kyle said I had an hour, is that correct? An hour to do a complete technical overview of what you're going to be getting. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to hopefully keep this down to just short 5 to 10 minutes, but there are some technical slides I am going to show you in a minute that may be way over your head. I'm not insulting your technical talents, but I didn't know what to expect in this type of meeting. So I am local to North Carolina. I was born in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Do I hear any Chapel Hill? Anybody in the room here? Yeah, here Hills. Any Hills? Okay. So I was born in Chapel Hill. My father had me as a mistake. No, I shouldn't say that. My father was in graduate school there in Chapel Hill. So I was born and raised and lived in Chapel Hill. Not Chapel Hill. Lived in North Carolina all of my life. I got in the technology business back in the 70s, back when it was not very popular and no one understood what it was. But I am committed as a company to be local to North Carolina. We are not a nationwide company, even though we can offer services in California, in anywhere in the United States, but really we want to focus our efforts in North Carolina because that's where we can service people the best. And our real focus, we'll try to this slide here. Our real focus has been to the public sector, and I'm going to try to, there it is. We're committed to the public sector. And when I say the public sector, we're talking about not just you as a county, we're talking about airports, we're talking about school systems, we're talking about fire departments, we're talking about airports. We can list on and on and on. We are committed to the general public sector of North Carolina. We also tiptoe into Virginia and a little bit in South Carolina, but really our focus is within North Carolina. Let's see if the slide will work here. Might need a little technical help from the back. Oh, that went, okay. Some of our testimonials, and I went too fast there. I went too, let me back up. Sorry about that. Some of our testimonials, you may know some of them, but I will tell you that we have about 35 to 40 governments, municipalities throughout North Carolina. No, we don't have Wake County. Wake County is probably too large for us, and I'm not sure I really want Wake County, but that being said, our niche is really the smaller, the 500 to 2,000 user customers within North Carolina. I can list about 30-some counties that we do in North Carolina, and specifically we do school districts. And we really like doing schools, and I know we're not here tonight for your school district, but we hope we have an opportunity to win that in the future. Our history, I have to take a moment and tell you about where we came from, and I'm going to try to get this slide to go all the way. We actually started in 1985. Believe it or not, I am that old. And I'm going to go quickly. We started as a company called Microcomputer Resources, your resource for all your computer needs. And then in the early 1990s, we became a dial-up ISP. Now, how many of you remember your dial-up number? And you remember the message you got, well, you've got mail. Well, we're no longer in the dial-up business anymore. That was a life that we lived. But then we got in the data center business, and we became, as any company has to over the period of 20 or 30 years, it has to be like a chameleon and change its color sometime to fit what technology is out there and what is needed. We became a data center in 2000, and then finally in 2005, if I can get to it, we became a VoIP company. At that time, I wasn't sure what VoIP really was. As a matter of fact, one of my engineers asked me, I said, what is VoIP? And he had to explain to me, Voice over Internet Protocol. We commonly know that as hosted telephone services. Today, we are Carolina Digital Phone. We do messaging, we do video collaboration. We do everything all in one. We're not, by the way, a large conglomerate like an AT&T. And I'm trying to get the next slide. We're a small company. Here's 5 of our people, 1, 2, 3, 5. We have 8 engineers who work locally in Greensboro. So the money you spend stays in North Carolina and stays with the local community. We're very proud of we have one employee who doesn't live in North Carolina, and she decided to get married and move out of the state, but we kept her on board. We kept her, because she works actually in Denver, Colorado, where her husband was offered a job out there. We decided to keep her. Now, as the slides go a little further, first of all, let me get this slide. This is your senior management team. This is myself, my VP of Sales, Joan, who lives in Oxford, Randy Williams, who's our operations manager, Mitchell Smith, who's our senior VoIP engineer. He's really a sharp guy, and Meredith, who's our accounting manager. This is really your team. There's 20 people in the company. These are the main people you'll talk to, or if you've got a problem, we want you to call either me or Randy or an senior engineer. One thing we don't do residential service. So if you want home phone service, please don't call me. We do not do home phone services. We only do business to business and business to municipalities. Now, the next slide is going to get really technical, and I apologize. Let's see. No, it's not this one here. It's the very next one. So we're scalable, we're cloud-based. We are located in 3 parts of the United States. We have our data center in downtown Greensboro. It's about 1,800 square feet. We also have a data center, the rent space, in what's called MCNC. How many of you know what MCNC even is? Show of hands. MCNC is Microcomputer Center for North Carolina. It is the infrastructure for most schools, municipalities throughout North Carolina. Used to be called NC-REN, now it's called MCNC in Durham. And that's where we have a data center location for servicing a lot of parts of North Carolina. Because you may, Kyle, do you get your internet? I don't know if you get your internet through MCNC, but if you don't, you need to consider them. They're a great state service that offer internet access for schools and municipalities. Now it's going to get technical. Don't stare at this slide long. This is very, very high level, but I want you to know that this is what makes up a voice telephone call. At your very, very top, you'll recognize names like Verizon and AT&T. You'll slide quickly down there below and see we're in Dallas, Texas. We're in Greensboro. We're in RTP in North Carolina. We have some things out in the Amazon cloud on the left-hand side. And then down below is how it gets to your paging system, your analog devices like your ATAs, your cell phones, your desktop phones, or your web phones. That's as much as you want to understand about this slide here. This is highly technical, and this is meant for engineers. But if you have a question about this, please don't hesitate to ask. And I don't see any questions. That's good, because I probably could not explain it, but my engineers could. And the next slide comes up. We're a work-from-home solution. So as COVID happened, as we all know what happened, everybody wanted to go home and work. Now, people are coming back to work now, and I'm kind of happy to see them coming back in the office. But when you have someone who needs to work at home, whether it's for maternity leave or you need someone to work from home, we have the option from working at home anywhere in the United States. So if you got an employee that needs to take some time off to work at home for medical reasons or whatever, we can not only do we accommodate the work-at-home employee, we also accommodate the mobile worker that wants to be on his cell phone all the time and still talking on your phone system and having the ability to track their phone calls no matter where they are and record their phone calls to know they are doing work for the county. This is a duplicate of earlier slide. We offer things like SIP trunking, which that's not what you're doing, voice services, video collaboration. We offer a great fax service. It's fax to email. It's also fax to your fax machine. We do video collaboration. And we just started offering this year what's called an eSIM option. An eSIM is something you may not be familiar with, but it basically gives your phone the ability to have a second phone number so that you can now have your personal cell phone and an office phone number as extension whatever it is, the number. With that, this is my team. This is not all of them, but this is most of them. We're here to provide you exceptional service. Welcome to the floor. Questions we're doing.
Questions for Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir, please.
Commissioner Sharp?
No, not at this time.
No question. Commissioner Reeves?
Please ask a question. I love questions.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
Technical?
No.
How about what is TCP/IP?
I will take the fifth on that. No, I don't have any questions, but thank you. I don't have any
No
questions.
questions.
No.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions.
County Attorney? County Manager?
Oh, come on. There's got to be
County
someone
Assistant
asking a question.
Manager? County
what we-
Clerk?
this is what we have
She's
Kyle
always got something.
Okay, I have a question. Do the phones come in multicolors?
They come multi-colors. They come in black, and they come in, let me think, what other color they come in? Whatever spray paint you want to buy. We protect your skin. No, they don't come in different colors. I'm sorry about the different colors. Now, if you do have a smartphone, an iPhone, you can get whatever color you want, and I can make that into a phone on our system.
I think this question that I have for Kyle, with the work from home option, how did we transition when COVID hit and we started sending people home? Was that an easy transition or was it difficult?
So it was challenging,
Okay.
and part of that was due to the nature of our existing phone system. Certainly doable, but we had to jump through quite a few more hoops to make it happen than we would have had if we had a system like this in place. Now, granted, several years ago, their hosted PBXs have matured quite a bit, would you say, even in the past few years. But yes, it was a bit challenging.
And I just noted that there's total savings over a 3-year period is $211,250. Is that written in stone?
It's going to be roughly at least that, just based on the cost of telephones that we would have to buy if we stayed with our current system.
Okay.
So there may be additional savings.
Okay. No other questions?
I guess I do have one question. Kyle, is our current, the VoIP system?
So currently what we have are called SIP trunks. So they're provided by a local carrier. All of our phones in all county buildings are technically VoIP. It's just that the dial tone stays inside our facility. Once we move to a system like this, then the dial tone goes outside and we're true full VoIP.
Okay.
So right now we're kind of like a VoIP hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Do I have a motion to authorize the county manager to sign the contract once the motion has been made to approve the RFP response from Carolina Digital Telephone and authorize the county manager to sign the contract once finalized and approved by legal staff and approve the purchase order associated with this project? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Have a safe trip.
Now that I know the answer, I could probably raise the price a little bit. Is that okay? I didn't know I was saving you that much money.
Thank you, sir. Next item. Okay, let me get we've got to go back. Lee County Multi-Sports Complex bid recommendation. So, Brandon, you taking, he's right there. Wow, he's fast.
Thank you, Commissioners. So just to recap on the bid, the multi-sports complex bid package was published and sent out on July 18th, 2023 to 8 pre-qualified bidders. The bidding closed on August 29th, 2023. Lee County received 3 bids, one by Conti Civil LLC, one by Barr Construction Company Incorporated, and one by Sanford Contractors Incorporated. McAdams, the architectural firm hired by Lee County, has certified and provided the final bid tabulation, which is in your agenda packet for your reference. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder was submitted by Sanford Contractors. They submitted a base bid of $26,817,160. Also included alternate 1 bid of $3,628,437. That includes additional restroom and shelter combination with 2 additional natural turf fields, and also alternate 2 for a price of $116,796,000, which is a walking trail. That brings the total bid submission to $30,562,393. So at this time, the county manager, Ms. Lisa Minter, will cover an overview of the project financials.
At your seat, you should each have a sheet that looks somewhat like this that summarizes the project. of what our expenditures outside the bid from Sanford Contractors would be. At this time, with the alternates included, a contingency of roughly a little bit over 5%, the other costs that we'll have for lighting of the fields and the system that goes with that, the playground equipment, some additional work we'll have to do for the access point at Highway 42, and other testing and equipment that we'll need to buy. We are looking at a total potential project cost, including our bond issuance cost, of roughly $42 million. We realize that's $2 million over what you have previously authorized. However, Mitch Bergoglio with Davenport is also here to explain to you what we're looking at as far as our financing goes. We will be selling our $25 million in general obligation bonds tomorrow, followed with a limited obligation bond sale the first part of October. So I'm going to ask Mitch to explain to you what we're anticipating with our sale and how we think we can do the $42 million project without having additional bond cost related. So Mitch.
Yes, ma'am. Well, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Thank you for having me this evening. So quick update on the GO bond side of things. You all have authorized the $25 million worth of general obligation bonds. We are scheduled to sell those bonds tomorrow morning at competitive sale at 11 a.m. There are currently 13 bidders signed up to bid on those bonds, and we may have some more bidders who choose to sign up tomorrow morning. And the way that competitive sale will work is those bidders will bid on really three main components of the GO bonds. There's the interest rate, there is their cost and fees to purchase the bonds, and there is a premium or a discount on the bonds that they can bake into their bid. And if you bring it down to sort of our personal level, if you think about when you go to get a mortgage, your mortgage banker or your banker may tell you, well, here's my basic interest rate, but if you pay this level of fees, my interest rate will be lower. Same sort of thing exists in the bond market where higher fees maybe result in lower interest rate bid. We leave that up to the bidders. As part of the process, we establish the terms and conditions of the bid, and we let them figure out what the best way to structure their bid is. Ultimately, we are going to award to the lowest overall interest rate. And so as part of that process, one of those components that they're going to be bidding on is a premium that they would be willing to pay for your bonds over and above the $25 million. So in the current market, we are expecting bidders are willing to pay a premium of $2.1 million on those GO bonds. That is our best guess looking at the market. It will depend on what the winning bidder chooses, how the winning bidder chooses to structure their bid. But in the current market, if we were to get that $2.1 million premium on the GO bonds, that would allow us to issue less limited obligation bonds to fund the project. Currently, the plan is to issue $25 million of GO bonds and real quick, $17 million of limited obligation bonds. That is assuming that we receive no premium on the general obligation bonds, we get $25 million, and then we would need an additional $17 million from the limited obligation bonds. However, if we do receive a premium bid on the general obligation bonds, that could allow us to reduce the amount of limited obligation bonds we need to issue. Ultimately, we are in the current market for both the general obligation bonds and the limited obligation bonds, we are estimating just shy of a $40 million principal amount of bonds issued to generate the $42 million to fund the project. That is going to be subject to market conditions for both the GOs and the limited obligation bonds. But that's what we're seeing in today's market for those bonds. We'll know more tomorrow after that GO bond sale, and that'll allow us to further fine-tune our limited obligation bonds sale, which follows the GO bonds. Tonight, you've already taken all of your actions on the general obligation bonds. So we are good, cleared to sell those bonds tomorrow. Tonight, you'll be asked to consider approval for 2 resolutions, which will be your final approvals and authorizations for the limited obligation bond issuances. You've already held your public hearing. The first resolution is what's called a findings resolution, where you will be asked to make certain findings that the local government commission requires, approve the financing team for the limited obligation bonds, authorize or really ratify staff's application submission to the local government commission, and authorize a mortgage on the facility as part of the financing. That's going to be the security for these lobs. The second resolution is called the issuance resolution, and that's where you would, if you choose to, approve the terms and conditions of this bond issue. You would approve the form of the financing documents, and you would approve the chair, the vice chair, and staff to conduct any other items necessary to finalize the sale of those limited obligation bonds. All of that is subject to a set of parameters. That would be a not-to-exceed issuance amount, not-to-exceed principal amount of $17 million, as Ms. Minter said, a not-to-exceed 5% interest rate, and a not-to-exceed final maturity of October 1 of 2043. Currently, in the current market, we're seeing interest rates that range in the 3.75 to 4% range, so well below that not-to-exceed 5% range, but we have a couple weeks until the bond sale occurs, so we do want a little bit of cushion in that rate.
Mitch, if I can just interrupt real quickly. We're moving ahead from Lee County Multi-Sports bid recommendation. We haven't voted on that. So do I have a motion to approve? Okay. Motion to approve McAdams' finalized bid tabulations, recommending Sanford Contractors as the lowest responsible bidder. The request of the board is the Board of Commissioners to approve Sanford Contractors to be awarded the bid to allow Lee County to move forward with contract negotiations. Any further discussion? Any questions? Seeing there are none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't mean to get ahead of you. I was just providing that as background. I didn't mean to steal Candace's thunder.
Not a problem. I just wanted to say thank you. But I did realize we didn't even vote on the actual bid of the, no, I lost myself.
Yeah, you just
Yep.
voted on it.
All right.
Candace.
Now we'll move into resolution regarding the multi-sports complex. And I got to be honest with you, you gave me some motions that I don't see here on my sheet.
First thing you do is take this motion to waive the policy.
Right. I got that. Yep, I got that. Any further questions of Mitch Frugulio? Commissioner Sharp?
No, sir, not this time.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
None, thank you.
Commissioner, County Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we do have to, the board will need to waive its policy to take action the same night of a public hearing. Do I have a motion to waive our policy?
So
So
moved.
moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made to waive our policy to take action on the same night as a public hearing regarding the resolution regarding the multi-sports complex limited obligation bond series 2023B financing. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, this is in your packet, but the resolution making certain findings and determinations regarding the proposed financing of a new multi-sports complex and requesting the local government commission to approve the financing arrangement. Any questions? Any discussion? Commissioner Lovick?
No.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Sharp?
No.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution making certain findings?
So moved.
Motion's been made to pass a resolution making certain findings and determinations regarding the proposed financing of a new multi-sports complex and requesting a local government commission to approve the financing arrangement. Any further discussion? Seeing there are none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Following resolution approving and authorizing the sale and issuance of limited obligation bonds and execution and delivery of a master trust agreement, a first supplemental trust agreement, a deed of trust, and related documents in connection with the financing of a new multi-sports complex.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Motion has been made to approve the resolution approving authorizing the sale and issuance of limited obligation bonds. Any further discussion? Commissioner Sharp?
No, sir, not this time.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No, sir, thank you.
County Attorney?
No, sir.
County Clerk? All right, motion's been made to pass a resolution approving and authorizing the sale and issuance of limited obligation bonds and the execution and delivery of a master trust agreement, a first supplemental trust agreement, a deed of trust, and related documents in connection with the financing of a new multi-sports complex. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. By the way, that's in your packet, and there's plenty of pages of reading there to keep you up for a week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Mr. Frugilio. All right, moving on. Move from sports complex to the new Lee County Library presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners. So tonight, we have Vines Architecture here at the meeting. They'll do presentation on slides they have showing the library design as the project is today, moving out of design development into construction documentation phase. You'll see a couple of different design options for the exterior colors and materials. Vines will also show the recommended design that has been approved by the Library Board of Trustees and the library staff. This is for the Board of Commissioners' consideration. Also, Vines will show and review the projected project schedule as it is today at the end of the DD phase. So this time I'll have Jeff Schroeder and Caitlin Phelps come forward from Vines.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to present an update on the library tonight. It's good to see everyone again. So we were last in front of you in April of this year and got approval to kind of go into the design development phase. And since then, we've been having ongoing meetings with the library leadership team, with the county project management team, and we've been developing and advancing the design. The program space in the building remain largely unchanged from what was presented back in earlier this year. And then we've also been working with our consultant team to just develop the project and to continue things moving forward. We're approaching the completion of the design development phase, which will be the end of this month. So as we look ahead at the building, again, this is largely unchanged from what you saw before, but we still have the parking lot. We still have the drive coming in off of the credit union entry, the parking lot to the north of the building, and the building creating these various outdoor zones and kind of bridging the gap between the tree line and the open space on the site to maximize program utilization. Okay. Again, the floor plan is main entry right there in the middle, in the bend of the building with a large entry plaza coming up to the building. As you come in, to the right is the children's area and the staff area behind that. And then to the left would be the large multi-purpose program space, as well as a few meeting spaces. And then coming through the building would be the general collection area, reading spaces, open space as well as a maker lab, some children's program spaces, and then in the bottom right would be the teen area and small meeting room to the south of the building. So again, the concept was just to kind of create these outdoor spaces and kind of bridge the gap and provide lots of opportunities for interior program and expansive space reviews. So again, as we talked about before, one of the things that we really wanted to do with the project is draw from the regional character, looking at sort of the types of structures, the iconic roof forms, the material textures, sort of the rich legacy that exists within Lee County, and sort of how we can bring that into a project in a way that is not recreating it, but that sort of is a modern translation of the information. And with that, sorry, it's slow. There we go. And with that, another thing that is really critical is that we have this amazing site in O.T. Sloan Park, and we really wanted to think of how can the building kind of coexist with nature that's there, with the beautiful tree line, with the open field, and sort of the textures that are in there. So the design becomes about really giving prominence to the landscape and letting the building kind of go away. And then with that, beginning to think about how the activity and the energy and the excitement of the people using the space can really be put on display. And so with that, as we begin to think about materials, again, trying to draw from some of the traditional and regional materials, is trying to think about how we can use things like masonry, metal panel to recreate some of the textures that exist within the vernacular buildings, within buildings like the board and batten of the railroad house downtown, and then also thinking about how we can use texturing in there to kind of create depth and a richness with the project. And then as you begin to look at the elevations, again, thinking about materials and how they get overlaid on there, thinking about using brick in the base condition for durability, for just its prominence there, and then up above, using the metal panel. Apologies. Using the metal panel to, again, express some of that texture and the richness, and using some of the vernacular languages and sort of interpreting that into the building.
For the interiors of the space, it's starting to continue that, again, that language of blending the modern and historic elements that are seen throughout Lee County and Sanford, and how we can bring in some modernity, but also pay homage to some of the historical character to the area. And then also thinking about the interiors as a continuous experience from the exterior to indoors, how we're creating those views to the outdoors, and then also how we're thinking about the experience walking up to the library and how that continues throughout the space. With that in mind, thinking about some of the historical elements and the natural surroundings, the finished palette is really grounded in a natural and timeless neutral base towards the left there, accented heavily with woods and earth tones throughout. And then also integrating and understanding that we have a wide variety of patronage, and how can we begin to take those neutral tones and make them more timeless, but also playful through the use of fabrics similar to barn quilts. So with this in mind, the flooring concept for the finishes, largely the floor of the interiors will be a mix of terrazzo and carpet materials for durability, but the intent is that you can kind of see these little eddies through the landscape as you come to the entry, and the thought would be to continue that throughout as you experience the building from north to south. Here's some renderings of the interior view coming in, looking in from the entry at the information desk. You can see the ceilings is a large use of wood and slats, paying homage again to some of the historical characters like the board and batten, and really using the wood ceiling to visually bring the person and connect them all the way through the building to the exterior again. See. Oh, did it again, sorry. There we go. A really key element in some of these zones, especially the children's area, is that direct connection to interior to exterior, and having a playground area adjacent to the children's indoor reading zone, really enlivening the interior experience throughout the children's place, but also giving them a play yard adjacent to the reading zone. And then this is a view looking on the back side of the information desk, looking out towards the exterior entrance. And you'll note, again, the idea of the wood ceilings, looking at using a blue tone for the exposed areas, really thinking about kind of the paint blue of the area where you would paint your porch, that color, but also the continuation of just the exterior sky to the interior of the space. You can also see the multi-purpose room just to the back of that space there, and incorporating the Friends of the Library and information to that front zone.
And then for the exterior, we presented a few different options of how you think about this. But again, thinking about the goal of letting the building kind of be a backdrop and letting the activity become in the foreground. So the three approaches that we looked at was on the left, approach A, which utilized a dark brick on the bottom and a darker metal panel up top, letting texture activate it. Option B, or approach B, looked at using a brown brick and more of a warmer brownish tone metal panel up above. And then option C looked at using a red brick and more of a coppery color, rusty color panel up above. So those were the three that we looked at. And based on our discussions, the library board, the library staff, and the project team recommended scenario A. And that is based upon sort of the maximizing the blending of the building with the landscape, trying to let the building kind of go away, focusing on the activity, the prominence of the interior spaces and the activity on there, and then also just the connecting with the vernacular and sort of the weathered buildings on the landscape. So the recommendation was scenario A for the project team. And then with that, looking at some of the images of the building, this is coming in, approaching from the parking lot with the children's area to your right, the main entry straight ahead where the high glass is located. And then in the left in this image would be the large program space, meeting space. And again, you can see how we're really trying to bring in the landscape and create these sort of landscape zones to nestle the building into the site. And then from the back, looking along the tree line to the south, looking back with a reading area in your foreground to the right, we're trying to utilize the natural landscape and the contours to create some opportunities for outdoor quiet reading spaces, maybe outdoor informal meeting spaces for children's groups or lecture spaces. And then in the foreground would be the children's program, or background would be the children's program room, and then to the left would be the staff spaces. And then, as Brandon mentioned earlier, we are near the end of the design development phase, heading into construction documents at the end of this month. That will go through the middle to late February, at which point we'll transition into bidding and negotiation and construction with an opening late in 2025, I believe. And so with that, if there's any questions.
Questions of the staff from Vines. Commissioner Sharp.
No, you just answered my question. I was going to ask you, how long does it typically take a company to do a project this size?
I think we're basically on schedule for that. You know, it varies a little bit. There's approvals that have to happen, but typically it's 5 months or so for design development, 5 to 6 months for construction documents. And then design phase in the beginning. And then construction period, we anticipate being about 14 months for construction.
Okay, that's actually what I was
Okay.
looking for. Yeah.
Commissioner Reeves, questions?
How does your design compare to the credit union building? Was it considered at all?
It was. The credit union actually has some similar roof shapes with it. I think it has a hip roof on it. It has the the curved entry space and several areas of glass. So we tried to pick up on some of the cues of that. But again, one of the things we're trying to do is kind of let the building have a prominence of its own, and so it's located further back on the site. So we tried to kind of blend in, but not sort of match, if that makes sense.
All right.
Commissioner Vorbeck, questions?
I guess it's not really on the design thing, but I just wanted to note, I know some of those things are kind of mocks, but on the kids area, just making sure that there's like sensory friendly seating and stuff.
We actually have a sensory space within the building as well, and a calming room.
Yep.
So that's already incorporated into the design.
Awesome. What was the second place for design choice color?
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said, what was the second, was there a second runner-up in color design?
I don't know that there was a second runner-up. Actually, everybody had recommended A. That was sort of the.
I was kind of expecting you to say the red brick one, just because if anyone has land or anything here, everything gets turned red anyways.
But
I do like
sorry.
and I agree with Commissioner Reeves. I think the first color too. I mean, I know you don't want to completely match the bank, but I do think complement the building.
Look good to the eye.
Yeah, it'll look good to the eye, which I think that number or the letter A does.
Commissioner Connect, question.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
Not a question, but a comment. The terrazzo floor is a big plus in my cleaning industry profession. It's more expensive, but way easier floor in the long run. It will last. So, are you doing square tile carpet? Is that, or is it?
Yes, we'll be using carpet tile products and keeping, again, life cycle costs, longevity of the product, and maintenance in mind with each of those selections. And then we'll also work with the library staff on the bathrooms to make sure that we have adequate flooring and tile that is easy to clean and have theft-proof accessories and things like that. So always keeping those things in mind.
Is there any consideration, I'm not sure with books and computers and things, but like, is there a coffee bar or anything like that in there? Where I saw the outside space, I thought it'd be nice to be able to sit out and enjoy something like that.
We do have a small kitchenette within the project right now and vending space as well. So there's some of that.
Now, is that for staff only, or is that for?
It would be more of a flexible opportunity. And that's one of the discussions that has been ongoing, is like how that may happen and blend between public and staff area. I don't know if Beth has anything she wants to expand on that.
Yeah.
oh, come on, Beth.
Do you want anything
We have
like that
coffee
around
fiends.
books?
There's more that goes into that.
Discussed it, it got pulled out, got put back in, it got pulled back out again. So we have a staff-specific kitchen, so the staff will have their own space. And then we'll have a flex space that'll be possibly and most likely accessible to the community when they're renting spaces in our area, and then when the board is using the main meeting room. That's the goal. Hopefully that'll stay in the plans.
So if we had something like that, do you think it would be more attractive for more people to come?
Oh, absolutely. We've even seen an uptick in people that stay at the library, at the current building, because we allow drinks in the library now, as long as they're covered, but it just brings people in, and people really just want to stay, and they'll stay for hours as long as they can utilize the space the way they want to, within reason.
Okay, good. I could see where that would work.
Questions from staff?
Not a question, but a statement from Commissioner Bill Carver, who could not be here this evening.
Oh, please.
Yes, he would like us to record the following for the minutes. I am the Board of Commissioners representative to the Library Board of Trustees, and I attended the presentation by Vines made to the trustees and some of the library staff. The Board of Trustees recommended that the Commissioners approve option A from the selection of exterior renderings. The trustees were particularly pleased with the way the design coordinates with the setting at the park. After viewing Vine's presentation, I hope you will also approve option A. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a question. Any further questions? Mark? Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I do have a further question. It's just, it relates to the multipurpose room, and I'm reflecting back on the San Lee Park, and when we had the multipurpose room, we used it, the echo and the acoustics was horrible. This building used to be horrible for acoustics until we renovated it and fixed it. So just want to make sure we cover that in the multipurpose room, that we don't have acoustics that are horrible.
Yeah, we agree. One of the things that we're working through now is finishes within there, acoustical treatments in the ceiling and above the ceiling, speaker placement, all those kind of things. So we know that acoustics in that room will be key, especially if we're having events like this in there. So we're definitely paying attention to that.
Thank you. Seeing there are no further questions, is there a motion to approve
Motion to approve
exterior facade?
exterior facade A option.
All right, motion's been made to approve the design recommendation depicting the exterior A facade that has been presented by the library board. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is the planning board recommendation for the UDO text amendment.
And if we can have a
Yeah,
motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll recuse myself from this part of our meeting.
So moved.
Oh, motion been made to recuse Commissioner Sharp from the vote on this particular item. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners and staff. The Planning Board met for a regular meeting on August the 21st after the joint public hearing was held and voted 5-1 to recommend that the Commissioners approve the UDO text amendment to allow internally illuminated and changeable copy signage for non-residential uses permitted in residential zoning districts. The board member who cast the dissenting vote expressed that this type of signage may be a distraction to drivers and that it may not be appropriate for rural areas. And once again, this would primarily affect churches in residentially zoned areas. Are there any questions?
Questions for Amy? Commissioner Lovick?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Sharp?
No.
No questions.
He's recused.
Do I have a motion to approve the,
I'm sorry.
oh, you can ask questions.
Always get questions.
Well, I don't have any.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the recommendation of the UDO text amendment?
It's motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve the UDO text amendment regarding the planning board's recommendation. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approve agreement for projects, oh, I'm sorry, we removed that. Moving on, new business. Jail feasibility study, the RFP. Brandon, you are busy tonight.
Good evening, Commissioners. So for the jail feasibility study, Lee County submitted a request for proposal on June 23rd, 2023. The bids closed on August 11th, 2023. We did receive 3 bids, one from CGL Companies, one from Dewberry Companies, and one from Mosley Architects. Bids were reviewed internally by a committee, and the committee consisted of Brian Estes, Sheriff of Lee County, William Sturkey, Chief Deputy of Lee County, Jennifer Gamble, Assistant County Manager, Ryan Falk, Deputy Director of General Services, Kenny Cole, Project Manager, Development Services, and myself, Brandon Key, Director of Development Services. Mosley Architects was the unanimous selection by the group based on 6 evaluation criteria used. Also, Lee County, we reached out to references provided by Mosley for nearby counties that had worked on similar projects: Harnett County, Johnston County, and Arge County. We received feedback from all 3, and all 3 provided positive feedback and recommendation for working with Mosley on this type of project. The request is for the board's approval to move forward with Mosley on the jail feasibility study at proposed cost of $59,756. If approved, the contract negotiation will be the next step. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions for Mark? No. Commissioner Levick, Commissioner Connect?
Did they have an idea on how long it would take to complete?
They do, and can I get back to you with that to get you a
that's
correct
fine.
answer? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's roughly going to be about a 5-month process. Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Commissioner Reeves, questions?
Move to approve the recommendation.
Move to approve the recommendation. Motion's been made. And Commissioner Sharp?
I don't have any questions.
No
Thank you.
no questions? I didn't skip you, but you passed it. Okay, you're good? Okay. All right, the motion's been made to approve the recommendations to move with Mosley Architects for the jail feasibility study, and a contract will be provided for the board's approval at a later date. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along. Thank you, Brandon. Resolution to add Lee County Senior Services to the Lee County Human Services Agency under new business.
I'll take that. In 2012, the General Assembly expanded North Carolina general statutes to allow the Board of Commissioners to combine 2 or more human services functions into one consolidated human services agencies. As this board is aware, we did, effective July 12th of 2023, consolidate the board, or the DSS and the Health Department into one agency that is overseen by the Consolidated Human Services Agency. So in order to continue to expand the services of the consolidated agency, it is staff's recommendation to now move senior services into the consolidated agency effective January 1st of 2024. The Director of Senior Services will be overseen by the Consolidated Human Services Director, who is Assistant County Manager that she's already reporting to. And the employees will continue to serve under the Director and will continue to abide by the Lee County personnel policies. Staff is recommending that the advisory bodies of senior services continue to be the Senior Services Advisory Board and the Lee County Transportation Advisory Board. So we're not asking that the board abolish those, but to actually keep those advisory boards in place. We are asking, though, that one member of the Senior Services Advisory Board serve on the Consolidated Human Services Agency Board. So we're going to ask the board chair or their designee to fill out an application to submit to the board for that person to be able to serve and to be a liaison when things in the senior services arena come before the board. And so at this time, we're just asking the board to adopt the resolution making this effective January 1st of 2024.
Questions for Ms. Parrish? Commissioner Sharp?
None.
Commissioner Reeves?
Move to adopt the resolution.
Motion's been made to adopt the resolution to add Lee County Senior Services to the Lee County Human Services Agency effective 1 January 2024. Any questions? Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Connect?
None.
Commissioner Levick?
None.
Okay, motion's been made. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the bond council agreement.
Good evening. Part of our debt issuance team is our bond counsel, and tonight I'd like to ask that you approve the agreement with Womble Bond Dickinson with Paul Billow as our bond counsel. The bond counsel plays a vital role in our debt issuance by providing objective legal opinion and assistance with the preparation of various financing documents for submission to the local government commission, as well as the Board of Commissioners and other debt-related issuance partners. Paul Billow with Womble Bond Dickinson has provided these services for Lee County in the past and has submitted a proposed fixed fee amount of not to exceed $75,000 for the limited bond obligation bond series 2023B public sale debt issuance.
Questions for Candace? Commissioner Sharp?
No.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Lovick, or excuse me, Commissioner Vorbeck.
I guess my only question is, the fixed fee, is that a yearly, or is that, do they follow along for how long the bonds are issued?
This is strictly related to this bond issue.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Connect.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick.
None, thank you.
Okay.
We do refer back to Paul, though, from time to time.
Okay.
And he is amazing to work with
Okay,
and answer questions as needed.
awesome, thank you.
Motion's been made to approve the agreement with Wamble Bond Dickinson for bond counsel in relation to the upcoming limited obligation bond series 2023B debt issuance for the multi-sports complex. Any further discussion? Seeing there are none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. You're not going anywhere.
No,
Sales
sir.
tax report, please.
Yes, sir. We finished the year out strong, 7.2% above the same above the same period last fiscal year for June 2023 sales tax revenues.
Questions on sales tax? Commissioner Lovick.
None, thank you.
Commissioner Connect.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck.
No, sir.
Commissioner Reeves.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp.
None, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is County Manager's Report.
Good evening. Just a few updates on our projects and a few other things for you. On the Moore Training Facility, they did start installing the skimmers last week. We also had the public hearing for our permit, of which nobody showed up to speak, and I think they also told us that they had received no written comments.
I'm sorry, I was there.
Did you speak?
I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. And they didn't tell me that, Kirk. I apologize.
They didn't tell you that.
Maybe they meant nobody spoke in opposition.
Well, that's probably
Okay,
what they meant.
there you go. And stuff. So we should be moving ahead with our permit issuance at this point. On the multi-sports complex, you've received the update and know where we stand on that project. We're moving, I'm very happy to say we are now moving ahead to do our contracts, and we'll hopefully do a groundbreaking in either October or November. So be on the lookout for more information on that. The Horton Pool was opened on September 8th, and kudos to the staff for the outstanding job that I understand they did with that opening. Since I was not there, I was on vacation. And we were open that weekend and this past weekend. So the pool is now closed for the season. And the staff will now be working on the liquidated damages settlement on that project. Phase 1 and 2 for Kiwanis Children's Park and Temple Park. The playground equipment is still being assembled with Churchich at Temple. They're also working on the bathroom and picnic table area. Kiwanis Children's Park, you'll see there the bid documents have been reviewed by finance and approved as far as requirements for bid. They are planning to bid both the Kiwanis Children's Park and OT Sloan Park at the same time, which will be sometime in December of 2023. The library building, you had your update tonight on that. Historic Courthouse, they are continuing to work on that project to make sure that we can do what needs to be done before the August 2024 deadline for that grant funding. You heard the update on the jail feasibility study and approved that contract tonight. And then we have received our proposals on the comprehensive fire services study. Staff is reviewing those, and we'll be bringing a recommendation to you in October on that. So you also have several other reports in your package there. And then you have a list of upcoming meetings. Obviously, we had our meeting tonight. We will be doing a STARS Awards presentation in the morning at 8:30 in the Gordon Wicker Room. If any of you can come out and support our staff in those awards, we would appreciate it. We have the annual SAGA meeting on September 28th here at the Civic Center. The North Carolina Disabled Veterans Monument Dedication Ceremony is scheduled for October 1st, 2023 at the Broadway Veterans Memorial Complex at 2 o'clock. Just to remind you, we have helped fund that, so it would be nice to have some participation there. And then we are back to 2 meetings a month in the month of October, starting with October 2nd at the McSwain Center at 6, and then a meeting here on October 16th at 6. I also want to give congratulations to all the staff that was involved last week in the opioid crisis community chat. We had an amazing turnout here at the Civic Center for that, and it was a outstanding event on a very sensitive topic. So I want to commend the staff for the work they did on that, and we'll be bringing some of the results from that to you when we do the strategic plan for the opioid funds. In relationship to that, part of that, we have typically held our board planning retreat at the end of January, which actually usually comes behind when we start telling the departments to work on their budgets and have given them guidance. So I would like to propose to you that we move the board's planning retreat up to December. We're looking at the potential of doing that December 14th. That's a Thursday. Do it Thursday evening with a dinner like we normally have, and then have some activities that night, and then follow up with more activities and more meeting on the 15th. And we would propose that you not have your second December meeting if we do the planning retreat in December. So,
Do I have a motion to approve the manager's recommendations on holding our board planning retreat on the 14th and 15th in lieu of our second meeting in December?
So moved.
Motion's been made to put a board planning retreat on the calendar for December 14th and 15th and forego a second meeting in December. Any further discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
thank you very much. The other item that we wanted to mention to you is Jennifer Gamble and Whitney Parrish and I met with Mark Stewart this past week to confirm with them our understanding of naming of the multi-sports complex park. And we were correct that they are willing to entertain names from us. They don't necessarily want to have to pick the name, but they are willing to entertain names from us. So I wanted to ask the board how you wanted to go about starting that process. We can either just simply turn a couple of different things. You as a board can choose a name on your own. We could rely on the park, ask the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to put a list of names together and present it to you, kind of like they did the road names. Or we could open it up to the public for a certain amount of time to submit suggestions, and then allow that to go to the Parks and Rec Board and then come to you. So I am open to what your thoughts might be.
Questions for Lisa and comments? Commissioner Sharp, seeing you're on the Parks and Rec Board.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
I'm sorry. There are three possibilities to entertain names to present. The board could choose, or the Park and Rec Commission could propose the names, or open it to the public and then go through the Parks and Rec Commission to present to the board.
I like that one.
Okay.
Because that
open it
includes
to
the public and the board, and then it can come to us after that.
Would you like to make a motion to that?
I'll make a motion.
And a motion's
for
been
just
made.
that.
Further discussion? Commissioner Reeves.
I don't think he has any.
Bad choice, but go ahead.
Bad choice, okay. Submitting it to the public and then running it through the Parks and Rec Commission and then bringing it to us for a final approval?
Yeah.
You don't like public comment?
Well, that's the motion, so we get to vote on it. Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, I think that would be a good idea. Get some public input.
Commissioner Connect?
I think we also think of that, that we're trying to, for ultimate sale of that name rights too. So I don't think we really have to overthink it too much, because isn't that what we're trying to do?
The overall name of the park was assigned to the Stewarts to have the choice of the overall name, and they are allowing us to do that. We are not selling the overall names of the park.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the
Is that in the
clarification.
contract? Is that in our contract?
I don't know that it was in the contract, but it was definitely in emails back and forth with Mr. Stewart and staff, county staff about that, yes, sir.
So not in the contract?
I don't believe it's in the purchase agreement or the deed, that's correct.
All right, well, I'm confused then, but, okay.
Commissioner Lovick?
I think that's a good recommendation that we're going to vote on.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You're going to open up to the public, or are you going to have some very... Yes.
Yes, sir. It'll align with our naming policy that we'll be coming back to you, so it won't be named after a person. It has to be, good representation on Lee County. All those things that are in that policy would apply to this also.
And in a timely manner. as well.
Yes. Depending on how this vote goes, I will be turning it over to our communications team to put something together to happen quickly, and it'll be a short amount of time that it's open so we can keep this process moving.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Could we even amend the motion to say the communications team present the top 5 or something to where you're not top 10?
If we get
To the planning board.
duplicates, we will try to narrow it down to see. Kind of hard to determine what would be the top 5 or top 10 if they're all individual names. I would say you can ask the Parks and Rec Advisory Board to narrow it down.
Okay, there we go.
Any further discussion or questions? All right, motion's been made to open to the public the naming of the sports complex, running it through the Parks and Rec Board. They will narrow it down to a set selection, and the board will choose the final naming of the multi-sports complex. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Did you get that, Madam Clerk? Okay. All right, we are going to go into closed session, but before we do that, we'll go into commissioners' comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Lovick.
Yes, again, congratulations to the staff and to the community for the Horton Pool opening. That was very nice. I hope they wear that joint out, using it now, not tearing it up. But also, thanks to all that came out to public comments to give their opinions on our items that we have. Congratulations to the Lions Club. We were at the ribbon cutting, and we had a sweet job this year, cupcake judging, so that went over very well. And I want to thank our board for coming together on these issues for our county, and it's a lot of money that we're voting on tonight. And thank you for coming together, and each one of the staff came together on these projects. And like I say, I want to praise our board for coming together and making those motions and approving those. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Connect.
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck.
I can echo that on the Horton Pool ribbon cutting and opening. I think the community came out in support, and I talked to a few people who had swam in it when it was there many, many moons ago, and being able to partake in it again, though they would like a diving board, but and then the Lee County Fair this year, I think the weather was perfect. I don't know, it seemed to go a lot smoother, I felt like, this year, and people really enjoyed themselves, and that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Reeves.
Yes, I want to again offer my personal thanks for all the department heads, staff involved in the Horton Pool opening. I'm very proud and very pleased at how it turned out and how it looks, and how great the water felt on my feet. But I also want to say a special thanks to Mrs. Russell Spivey. I know when Russell was asked to come back, he made the right first move. He asked his wife if he could come back, and she gave him that permission. I laughed because before my son got married, he asked if I have any advice, and I said, yes. I said, the first thing I do is pick out a good sofa that I enjoy, so that when you say or do the wrong thing, you'll be comfortable sleeping on it. So, Russell, you made a wise choice. Ask your wife first, and thank you so very much, Mrs. Spivey.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sharp.
Yeah, real quick, I got three things, and I'm going to go through them real quick. Glad that we decided to do the jail feasibility study because it is in dire need. That should have been, maybe should have already been done. Excited about discussion we had about multi-sports complex and the new library. Glad we're moving forward with all that. And kudos to the staff for the opioid crisis chat. Lisa texted me telling me what a good job y'all did, and thanks again. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Reeves, the advice I give my youngins as well as the young soldiers that I used to have that worked for me when it came to marriage, if you want to have a long and continuous marriage, there are two words you need to know.
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. There you go.
Or I'm sorry.
Excuse me?
Or I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I try to avoid that, but yeah, that works too. I do want to reiterate first off the fact that this board, all of our votes this evening were along the lines of improving the quality of life for Lee County, and I want to say thank you to all of you for that. I was kind of surprised not a lot of the soccer fiends were here, but my family was, so that was our youngest son. But thank the staff for the planning and the preparations and the execution. They don't get it enough, but they provided that opportunity for the Horton Pool grand opening and, well, grand reopening. And then the opioid forum was very, very much, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us to go forward with the monies that we're going to have, as well as providing services to our citizens who are unfortunately imprisoned in that life. The Lee County Agricultural Fair, I hope, was a success. I know that it rained on it on Sunday, but overall it was well attended. We left Saturday night after partaking, and I could not believe, but the traffic was lined up all the way from the entrance of the fairgrounds all the way to Hawkins Ave on Witherspoon. And they were going around the corner up Hawkins Ave, getting ready to turn left onto Witherspoon to go to the fair. And that was somewhere around 8 o'clock that night. So obviously everybody saw the weather forecast and they said, we're going to go to the fair. So that was great. Question?
No, I was telling him that's when the mariachi band was there. That was the big.
Oh, well, there was a crowd, I'm telling you. But that was great. Pickleball tournament was held at OT Sloan Park, and just for your heads up, you may get some of the dog park issues and parking as well had to be an issue with the statewide pickleball tournament that we hosted. And public comments for the DEQ permit at the McSwain Center, Brandon Key and I attended, and I did speak on behalf of the permit. And after that, Brandon and I toured the skimmer system that TerraQuest has set up. So it was, and it did smell. You could smell the product coming out of the ground and collecting in the tank. So hopefully within 3 years, we can close that permit down. And on another note for the Sandhills Center, Secretary Kinsley received our letter. He's the Secretary of DHHS, and he received our merger agreement between East Point and Sandhills. But everything is pretty much, like everything else, is hovering around the budget. So I won't say anything about the budget other than I did approach Representative Reeves, the Democrat leader at the House, and I told him I was not a fan of expanding casinos. So he agreed with me. So I appreciate that. That being said, I have nothing further. If we can go into.
I move that we go into closed session per NC General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with our attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege.
Motion's been made to go into closed session. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And we will take a 10-minute break. 10-minute break on the way to our closed session room.
I know.
is truly a dream come true. Out of all the fellas in the world, she belongs to you. But it was just my imagination running away with me. It was just my imagination running away with me. Soon we'll be married and raise a family. Oh yeah. A cozy little home out in the country with 2 children, maybe 3. I tell you, I can visualize it all. This couldn't be a dream, or too real it all seems. But it was just my imagination once again running away with me. Tell you it was just my imagination running away with me. Every night on my knees I pray, dear Lord, hear my plea. Don't ever let another take her love from me, or I will surely die. Her love is heavenly. When her arms enfold me, I hear a tender rhapsody. But in reality, she doesn't even know me. Just my imagination. mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Oil wasted on the oceans and upon our seas, fish full of mercury. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Radiation underground and in the sky. Animals and birds who live nearby are dying. Oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more be used from man? Mercy, can't you stand?
We're back on. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion's been made to approve.
We have to go back and
Yes,
open
go.
that session.
Out. Motion's, yes.
Oh,
No.
motion,
Motion to come back out of closed session? and
motion
then-
back into open session has been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn has been made. Any questions, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.